Hey, so today I'm going to be talking about my Social Security nightmare. And I think I have some good information in it that I want to share with you. And I think it'll be very pertinent if you are, one, filing Social Security, two, if you have a child outside of the U.S. And I think this would be covered, doesn't matter which country, it'll all be the same. And this came from my wife, who's very intelligent and figured this out, which I didn't. So anyway, stick around to the end. I think I have some good quality information for you. And especially if you're in the Philippines and you had to go to Manila, I have a whole story about that. Okay, so this whole situation started out, and this whole nightmare became reality when I got a virtual mailbox in the USA. And I decided, okay, well, I'll get my birthday's in September. October will be my first month getting paid for, and I will get my first check in November. So let's start early. Got this virtual mailbox, went online, did my Social Security application. They mail you something, and when you get that mail, you have 10 days to respond. Well, my virtual mailbox, I didn't get that mail until 30 days. And when I called, the lady said, well, I'm sorry, you're too late. So I'm like, oh, goodness, now what am I going to do? Well, I'm here in the Philippines. I have a friend that's going back to the USA, and he lives in North Carolina. I said, okay, that'll be a good idea. I have it sent to your house. That way, I know you'll get the mail, and I'll be able to call within the 10 days, and everything will be good. So did that. So what usually happens is you call them, they ask you some questions on the phone, and you answer those questions, and boom, your Social Security's online, and you'll get your first check right away. Or you can go into an office in the USA and do it that way. Well, when I got this thing mailed to me in North Carolina, I called the man up, and I was like, okay, I'm within my 10 days, we're all good. And he said, well, since you moved from Florida to North Carolina, now we want to see you in our office and show us an ID. I'm like, oh, great, I'm not in the USA. Right now I'm in the Philippines on vacation. And on a tourist visa. And he said, well, too bad, you got to come into an office. I said, well, I'm in a wheelchair and I really can't make it in there. Just ask me the questions you need to ask me. Nope. That's not going to happen. So that was wonderful. So now what do? I can't go to the USA and spend, a ton of money on a ticket just to fly over there and show my ID. Not only that, I'm not going to get there in time to be able to do all of this. So I said, oh, Lord, what am I going to do? So I called up my buddy Paul, Old Dog New Tricks, and I said, Paul, I got a problem, I don't know what to do. And he goes, well, I've got a contact in the embassy in Manila, and I'll call him and try to see what I can do for you. I said, okay. So he did that, and lo and behold, I got a phone call that day in the afternoon. He sent an email, so I got a phone call. So I talked to this lady, and she said, well, all you have to do is call them on the phone. I said, man, I've been calling every Tuesday and Thursday until noon, like I'm supposed to be doing, and nobody answers the phone. She goes, well, then you just need to file online. I said, ma'am, I've done that. Okay. She said, you need to register with the embassy here in Manila. Ma'am, I've done that. Okay. Well, do you work in Social Security? She goes, no, I do not. She said, I'm one of the deputies for the man that Paul called, and I'm calling you to get the information. So I went through this whole spiel with her, what I just told you guys, and I said, this is where I'm at. And she said, okay, well, I don't think I'm going to be able to help you. I'll try to get you with somebody in Social Security. The next day, somebody called me from Social Security, very nice lady. I talked to her on the phone. She said, okay, well, you're going to have to come in and show your ID here in Manila. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So that was the end of that. But it could take 2 to 6 months to get an appointment. So I'm thinking, oh wow, so it's going to take 2 months to get an appointment, or 6 months. So she said, I don't know who you know in here, but your appointment's next Monday on the 25th. I was like, okay. So my friends helped me get over there, including Paul and a lot of others, and helped me get to Manila. So we get to Manila, and we got our appointment, everything. We got there a couple of days early just to make sure I don't want any problems. And this is a big thing for me because I have zero income right now. So it's a big deal. So I go there, and we get there, and we stay in a hotel, and we get everything ready to go. And my wife had brought all of her stuff and whatever we needed. And we show up at the embassy in Manila, and I'm thinking, I'm going to be coming here, and there's going to be guards all around, and Marines, and, I'm going to have somebody talk to in English, and they're going to be able to help me get all this straightened out and get in for my appointment. So I have my appointment letter with me. And so we tell the guard, and he said, okay, just give me a minute, and blah, blah. He gets on his radio and starts talking inside. Well, there's nobody to talk to in English here. There's no American outside. There's no Marines. It's only security, and they're all Filipinos everywhere. I was like, okay. So I'm watching as I'm sitting there in my wheelchair, and my wife's sitting on the wall beside me, and all these hundreds of Filipinos are going in, seafarers and other people trying to get, visas to go to the United States and all this stuff. And I mean literally hundreds. And I'm an American citizen, and I'm sitting outside in the hot sun waiting to go inside. So this ends up kind of being a little bit funny. But so we tell the security guard, we show him the letter, he calls inside, says we have an appointment. They can't find an appointment inside. So this goes on and on and on. I mean, for my appointments, I get there at 9, my appointment's for 10. And I'm outside for almost an entire hour, probably maybe more than that. And finally a gentleman comes in from inside, come out to talk to me. He said, I'm just not understanding that you say you have a letter, but your name is not matching up to anybody we have an appointment for. I'm like, good Lord. So he starts talking to my wife, and he talks to me, and he goes, sir, what is your name? And I was like, just like it says right there on the letter, montycrew, C-R-E-W, M-O-N-T-Y, C-R-E-W. He goes, oh, okay. Well, we were really confused because when he called in, I thought it was a joke because he told me Motley Crue was out here and they had a 10 o'clock appointment. And I was thinking, yeah, this is a joke. This is not real. And I'm like, good Lord. So he reads my things, finds my real name, has me fill out another form, and then he goes back inside. 15 minutes later, we're called inside. So when you go there, as of now, if you have a Social Security appointment, you'll go on the second floor, and it'll be window 20 right now. So we go upstairs, and we go to window 20. And we're sitting there for a little while, and finally a lady comes and opens the blind up and says, are you montycrew? I said, yes, I am. She said, well, I need to see your IDs. I was like, fine. Give her my passport, my ID from my driver's license or whatever. And she said, okay. She said, give me a few minutes. So she went back. She came back. And she said, okay, well, I have all the information in now, which she was also Filipino, not American. And she said, I'll have all your information now, and here's your receipt. And my wife said, okay, but we have a daughter that's under 18 years old. She's 4, not yet 4. She said, well, is she an American citizen? We said, no. And she said, okay, well, go and get her citizenship, and then come back here, and you can file, and I'll get around $1,000 a month. If I add my daughter to it, I'll get $1,700. I'll get an extra $700. So my wife says, okay, but she said, I've talked to she knew her stuff. She'd been talking to other people that had their child on Social Security and made them a citizen. And a girl that she hangs out with at school, my daughter's school, she told her all this information. So my wife, she puts up a folder, and she's got my birth certificate, her birth certificate, the babies, our marriage license, all this other stuff, and the passport for my daughter and her passport. And she said, what I understand, lady, is that we can file for her now, even though she's not a citizen. And she goes, yes, ma'am, that is true. So what do we have to do? She said, well, you have to come back another time because I have other appointments. And my wife said, well, we traveled all the way from Dumaguete to get here. And we had an appointment. And you're just going to have to do this in between appointments because we can't come back here just to do this. We'll wait here. We'll be happy to wait for you in between your appointments. You can put my daughter on. And she said, okay, we could do that. So we waited there probably an hour and a half, 2 hours. And she came back and she had all the documents for my daughter. And she okay, now when I get approved for Social Security, my daughter will get approved for Social Security. She will not get a check until she becomes a U.S. citizen. But it'll be retroactive from the day that we applied. So they tell you to go get your child to be a U.S. citizen, then come in and put her name down and have her approved. You don't have to do that. You can do it now. So say it takes me 6 months to get her a citizenship. Well, I'll get 6 months of $700 a month for her, which I think is very important. The other thing is, I had a lot of guys telling me, you can go to Cebu and get all this done. You can. You can go to Cebu and make your child a citizen, but you cannot go to Social Security there. And I was told, I don't know how many times, by how many different people, that yeah, I can go there to do her Social Security. The lady that I first talked to in Manila told me, she was a bigwig in Social Security. She said, we have never had a Social Security office in Cebu, and I don't foresee that we ever will. So all those guys that have that belief, that is not true. There is no Social Security office in Cebu, all right? You can go there for a lot of other things, but not Social Security. There's no office there. So anyway, we get all this done, and I asked the lady 3 times, am I approved? Will I get my check in November? Yes. You have your first check November 3rd. Okay. Are you sure? I just kept going back to her. Finally, she said, well, this has to be sent to the main office to be approved, and that can take up to 30 days. And I said, well, how are you telling me I'm going to get my first check in November when you don't know? And she goes, no, I see everything here. It's going to get approved. Don't worry about it. Well, I'm worried about it. So anyway, that's just some important information I thought I'd share with you guys. This has been my Social Security nightmare, and hopefully it'll all get fixed, and I will actually get a check in November. I'm definitely praying for that, because this is just, it's unbelievable, you know, the money we had to spend to fly to Manila, stay at Manila, great embassy, and do all this stuff, and then still, you know, I even looked when I got home, is my benefit letter in there? Yeah, the first part's there, the second page saying how much you're getting, all that stuff is not there. So praying for that. Hope it goes well, but hope some of this information helps you guys if you're doing this. While I was there and we had 2 hours waiting, I shuffled my little wheelchair over to a banner they have there so I could read it, put my glasses on and read it. Every May, if you live in the Philippines, you will get a letter sent out to you in May. You will have until November. It'll be every year to 2 years, I said. Every November, you will have to say, yes, I'm still alive when you get that letter. Well, like I told the lady, that's a little problem because we live in Dumaguete. We're not going to get any mail for at least 4 months. And she goes, sir, it's not just Dumaguete, it's everywhere. I was like, okay, so you're going to mail that out in May. I'm going to get it in 4 months. Then I'm going to have to return it to you, and that's going to take 4 months, so that's 8 months. So if I don't get it in by November, which is 7 months from the time you mail it out, then I don't get my check. And I'm reading in there, and it says, yes, in February, if you have not had that in by that time, in February, you will not get a check. And then you'll have to either straighten it out or reapply or go through all this nightmare again. And that's just totally unfair. Thank you so much. Thank you for all those who helped us get over to Manila and get home. God bless you, and we really appreciate everything you've done for us. We'll see you in the next video.
I'm montycrew.
Hi, and I'm Argel Crew.
We're a married couple living in the Philippines.
We will be covering topics about everyday life here in the Philippines.
Tap that subscription button, tap that bell notification so you don't miss out on anything.